In this concept video, we're going to be discussing set builder notation, which is on the left-hand side, and interval notation. The graph of each one of these is right here in the middle. So set builder notation and interval notation are just two different ways of writing a value or a range of values. We can actually use this for the domain and range. If we look at set builder notation, we're always going to see these curly braces right here and here. That indicates we're dealing with a set. The variable that we're using goes next from left to right. We write this line here that means such that, and then you're going to see an inequality. If you look at all of these, you'll see that inequality in the same position. When you read this as the set of all numbers for x such that a is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to b. On the right hand side, we've got the interval notation. Interval notation starts with the lower value on the left, the higher value on the right, separated by a comma. You have a choice of what to put here or here. This symbol is for the A, this symbol is for the B. A bracket in interval notation indicates a point is included or a value is included. It's like a closed dot, or like the equal to symbol underneath here. And you can see that A is filled in, and we're going to use a bracket. The one below it though, A and B are not included. A is actually not a possibility here, there's no equal to sign, and also B. So we can use parentheses to indicate that in interval notation. Now keep in mind, this looks like an ordered pair, but it's definitely not. This is interval notation, and so the lower value is A, the higher value is B, but not including either A or B. So we'll write here that a value is not included when we use the parentheses. It's like an open dot, or the lack of an equal to symbol under here. Just like you can write a less than symbol and a less than or equal to symbol, depending on whether you want to include the value or not, you can do that here in interval notation. Notice that the A is an open circle and is not included in the solution. A cannot be equal to x here. It has to be less than. A has to be less than x. So here in interval notation, we use a parenthesis here indicating an open dot, or that the value is not included. Here though we want to include B, so we're going to draw a bracket right by B. As we move down here, I'll move this up for you guys, you can see that we've got some interesting situations down here in the bottom. Here we can write just x is greater than or equal to A, but on the right hand side for interval notation, we always write the lower number, which is A, that's the lowest value that's included, and then all the way to the right is positive infinity. Some people will put the plus sign here, most do not, and I don't require the plus sign to be here. If it's just infinity, we know it's positive infinity. We always use a parenthesis for infinity. It's just a concept, it's not really a number, so we always use a parenthesis. Same thing here, if we don't want to include A, we just use a parenthesis. All the values up to infinity. Here we're starting at negative infinity, it's the lower value, and then going up to and including A. And then here is the same situation, but we're not including A, so that's the only difference between these two. Always start with a lower number on the left in interval notation, and you can use infinity or negative infinity as appropriate. There's a couple other things that we need to talk about. So you're going to see two symbols used with interval notation, and one symbol is something that looks just like a U, and it means union or put together. If we have a couple pieces of a graph, maybe we have A, B, C, and D, we want to go from A to B, skip to C, and then go from C to D. We can actually deal with that. Check out the example videos for more info. But we want to use a union symbol for that. There is a symbol that's a U turned upside down, and this means intersection. So we really don't use that a lot in interval notation. Can't think of an instance where you would. But we do want to know what this symbol means when we start graphing in some of the examples here in just a little bit. Take your time to compare and contrast the graph, set builder, and also the interval notation.